Max blessed Holloway. I have some humble pie to eat, as I was entirely wrong with everything about your fight. What you did to Gaethje, I anticipated he would do to you, but you did that and more. You were winning the fight handedly, and then in the 5th round, the final round, in the final second, you floor Gaethje after egging him on in the last 10 seconds to throw down. And Gaethje lands head first on the monster logo right in the dead center of the octagon in the final second of the round. That was just... words can't describe how thrilling that was to watch as a fan of this sport. And to be wronged like that, I like it. I'm happy to eat the humble pie. So here goes. This is, well, it's a bee sting. I'm happy to eat that. Like I said, happy to eat humble pie. Yum. But seriously, in the first round of this fight, I was impressed because Gaethje, when he was doing the dip, I saw Holloway had all his timing down for the dip, and he was then countering off that and going and punching him. And the timing of that spinning back kick to get Gaethje in the midsection at the end of those combinations, the timing of everything was absolutely impeccable, and it blew me away. Max looked like a different fighter. I don't know whether he's gotten a lot better and he's really rebuilt himself exceptionally well over the past year or two, or whether his style just matches up really well against Gaethje's. A few of you guys were saying, oh, I don't know, Max is, this is a really good fight for Max. So well done to everyone that saw that. I didn't see it, but hey, I enjoyed it. So yeah. And I don't mean to overshadow the main event. The main event was, it was quick, and the co-main event I really enjoyed too, but I just had to start with this because I think this is what everyone's going to take away from this event. And to have that happen is absolutely just thrilling. And also, for the BMF title, wow. I predicted that Gaethje would turn Max Holloway into... I predicted that he would treat him the way he treated Tony Ferguson, and we know what he did to Tony. For Max to do this, absolutely blown away. I thought Gaethje had a few moments. He dropped Max in one of the rounds. He had some good moments, but he couldn't find his rhythm. He threw some nice leg kicks. Looked like a fish out of water. I think it was in round 1 at the very end when Max threw that spinning back kick. It shattered Gaethje's nose. Who knows how much damage it did, because Gaethje wobbled as well. I thought he slipped originally, but he probably took so much damage there. Wow. God, I can't wait to see what Max does next, who he fights next. So for Max, he could fight at lightweight. He could fight Topuria, but I think for Max, stay the BMF champion and let people come to you now. I don't think he needs to chase those undisputed belts anymore. I don't think he needs to. I think he's established himself now. Let people come to you, come to the BMF belt. I'm sure Dustin and Alex Volkanovski are going crazy right now, chomping at the bit, wanting to get a piece of Max again. And it's a little bit of a shame on that note that Dustin's been booked with Islam Makhachev, which I'll get into. Well, I might as well talk about it now. Dustin's now booked in for the undisputed title for the 3rd time. Immense pressure. You failed twice and you've got another shot and you're up against Islam Makhachev and you're older in your career. There's so much against Dustin. I'm not getting my heart broken again on that. For him to fight Max, it was a more winnable fight and he could have got that BMF belt then. I thought that would have been a really good matchup, but now the timing's off. Alex Volkanovski, I'm sure he's wanting a piece of that BMF belt. That could even work out nicely, but now Ilya is probably thinking, oh, I don't want to fight Max now, looking like that. And after watching that, I wonder how well Max will match up against Ilya. Ilya seemed to look like he was at a funeral. I'm sure he was just, minding his own business, but wow, there's so many possibilities here for Max. And, you know, I was never really a true fan of Max. I know a lot of people are. I was always rooting for, or barracking, I should say, as an Aussie, for Volkanovski in those fights. And I knew Max was special, but I've never seen him look this special. This is on another level. And to see Max rebuild himself after going through so much disappointment, and also I thought he was maybe out of his prime, and to see him look this good and put on such a massive show really gets me excited. I'm definitely a fan now, so congratulations, Max Holloway. Sorry to eat in your ear. This is good. For Gaethje, my heart does go out to Gaethje. Gaethje is a fucking champ. He is a true warrior. They both are BMFs. This is a very, very tough loss for Gaethje, especially after coming off such a high, knocking out Dustin, and for it to all end like this. I wish him all the best in his recovery, and I feel for him. But yeah, he'll be all right. But it always sucks to see your favorite fighter get knocked out like that. It doesn't sting too much because Justin was losing that fight. So it's not like Leon Edwards and Usman where if you're already losing and you get knocked out, I feel like there's no shame in that. And so I kind of like that. But I haven't seen Gaethje revert back to that wild sort of crazy Gaethje in a very long time. So I think Max damaged him enough to egg him on. And then that punch that he landed, Gaethje couldn't take it. And the speed of that punch and the power. I've never seen Max produce that much power, but it must have been the accumulation of damage. I'm really excited to watch that fight again. So congrats, Max Holloway. You've got a new fan, or you've probably got millions of new fans, I'm sure. And wow. Main event, I did pick Jamal to win. A lot of that was to do with my bias. I love Jamal Hill. I think he's a really great role model in person. I don't follow him on social media, so I don't know that side of him, but I think he's a really great role model. And I did think he might win because he would look more slick on the feet if his Achilles heel was fully healed. But during fight week, he said a few things that told me that he was just happy to be there. And he was. I knew he was because he's been through so much adversity. He understood how grateful he should be for that moment. And that's really the most important thing anyway. But I felt like he wasn't quite in the right mindset to beat Pereira. Also at the start of the fight, Pereira looked, I've never seen him look that confident, and that smile, that smirk, I'm like, I just knew he was going to be really hard to beat. When I saw his face at the beginning of the fight, I'm like, wow, no, he's already won. He's already won. I was a little bit disappointed that the fight didn't get to go any longer. I thought Jamal still fought really well, but I think the lack of offense at the start of the round tricked Jamal into thinking that he was maybe safe. And the low punches that Pereira he was kind of punching to the midsection or even just feinting the punch. I think it distracted Jamal because he was used to that rhythm. And then when Jamal hit Alex's cup, Pereira just used that moment to take him off guard really well because he hadn't thrown that hook yet. And the way that he threw it, it was almost like it was so quick. It's like a feint and then straight through. And I don't think I've quite seen him do that at the start of a combination, or maybe I just haven't noticed. But the way he did it was very sneaky, and it just floored Jamal. I underestimated Alex. I wonder whether the shorts distracted him, actually. Distracted Jamal, that is. I wouldn't be surprised because they're very leery. And even for Gaethje and Max, maybe Gaethje was too distracted by the floral pants. I wonder if that had anything to do with it. Maybe it could have. So yeah, I feel a bit sad for Jamal, but I'm happy for him because he came back, he looked healthy, he looked good. That looks like Alex is getting into a new groove now at light heavyweight, and he is looking even more confident than ever. Because at middleweight, he just seemed to be a bit, I guess he was lacking a bit of energy or a bit of conviction, or something wasn't quite right, but he's looking a lot healthier now. So yeah, humble pie to eat there too. But yeah, I kind of thought that fight was a bit 50-50 anyway. I think for Alex, I don't really know who the clear contender is. He could fight Magomed, but even Magomed doesn't seem very clear to me. Yuri, he just fought, so maybe it could be Magomed Ankalaev. For Jamal, I think he just needs to build up again, and he's still very young in his career. And I think he can fill out his skill set a bit more and then get more comfortable again after such a massive injury, because that is a massive injury to come back from. So I think both guys are on really good paths. So the co-main event, Yan XIAONAN and Zhang Weili goes for a lot of adversity in this fight. It looks like the tide's turning in the second and third rounds. Yan XIAONAN does not give in. And I thought for a moment that Weili might fall to the will of Yan XIAONAN. I thought she might fall to that, but she proved that she can get a second wind, similar to how she did against Joanna Jędrzejczyk in that fight. And she did. A really close fight. The first round obviously was a bit lucky for Yan XIAONAN. She was out, essentially. If she'd been choked out any earlier, the fight would have been called off there. But I think that once they woke her up again, she was like, all right. And she was in her full willpower, and it was just the will that was carrying her. And she landed some really good shots on WEILI. She dropped WEILI a few times, and WEILI was looking very demoralized. But I think, yeah, in the championship round, she swung back. She took Yan XIAONAN down and controlled her. A great performance by both women. I actually thought that was fight of the night. I was a little disappointed not to see the girls get some recognition. It was a really cool fight, and it was just after Max and Gaethje, but for me, that was fight of the night. I don't think Max and Gaethje was fight of the night. I think it was performance of the night, because Max, I thought, schooled Gaethje. Gaethje had moments though. It wasn't like it was complete dominance by Max, but I thought that maybe Yan XIAONAN and WEILI was more fight of the night, because it was very competitive and you didn't really know what was going to happen. Like, Max had control over that fight, but that's just me. So a great win for Zhang Weili. I can't really think off the top of my head who will be next, but it'll be fun to have someone fresh if that can happen. Maybe Marina Rodriguez will be good. Oh wait, she didn't win. Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan. I did pick Oliveira to win in my predictions. Arman Tsarukyan showed up. I kind of think people expected him to have the advantage in the wrestling, but also like in the positions on the ground where he did. And he showed really good composure there against Oliveira, who's extremely dangerous. I thought Oliveira still had some really good moments. He had Tsarukyan in some actually really bad submissions, but Tsarukyan had enough composure and knowledge to get out of them, which was very impressive. I don't know, I can't remember the fight very well now, because actually that's right, I lost internet during the fight, so I missed like the second round a little bit. So I did miss bits of this fight, unfortunately, but I did think from what I saw that it was very even, although I would give maybe the edge to Tsarukyan, but I didn't see the second round. And I think that's where he cut Oliveira open, so maybe that was elbows or something. It's not a robbery or anything. I think Tsarukyan probably did enough to win, but wouldn't have been surprised if it went to Oliveira as well. Great win for Tsarukyan. He's got to wait, I guess. I hope he gets a title shot next after Dustin, but we'll see what happens with that. I think Islam and Tsarukyan for the undisputed lightweight title is the way to go. Obviously, Islam's got Dustin now, and I don't want to talk about that anymore because that's going to break my heart again. I'm just not getting my hopes up for Dustin. Even though there is a chance, I'm not getting my hopes up again. Bo Nickal submits Cody Brundage. This was a bit more exciting than his other fights just because he went through a bit more adversity. For me, Bo Nickal still looked very, very green on the feet. But I can see how his wrestling is going to be a problem. But I'm still not very convinced that he would do very well if he went up in competition right now. He called out Fluffy Hernandez. I think Fluffy Hernandez will hand his ass to him. And I think would like to see that, but feel bad for Bo because he does have a lot of hate. But at the same time, he shouldn't be on the main card. So Jiri Prochazka, yeah, gets the win against RAKIC. RAKIC was doing really well, but he had a little ring rust, I think. He started over swinging, and I think once Jiri put the pressure on him, he just went back where he really needed to stand his ground and not walk backwards, and that's where he got, caught. I actually think Alexander RAKIC is the better fighter technically, but Jiri has a lot more experience and a lot more composure, and he can probably take a bit more punishment. And I think it also didn't help that RAKIC doesn't really have a powerful punch, or as powerful as what Jiri's experienced, so I think that made it a lot easier for him to take the damage and do what he had to do. Congrats to Jiri. He's a great guy. We all love him. RAKIC, I love RAKIC too. At least he's come back now and he can build himself up again after that terrible knee injury. Calvin Kattar and Aljamain Sterling. I picked Kattar to win. This was the fight that I really didn't know what was going to happen. I think Aljo fought really well. I was a bit worried that he was going to get lulled into exchanges with Kattar because Kattar would just catch him after a while after they start boxing. I'm glad he didn't fall into that trap. I liked this fight because it was a technical sort of grappling, high level fight from Aljo, and people were booing in the crowd, but it was nice to have a bit of a break from all the other fights that were more striking. So that was a nice fight to watch. Holly Holm and Kayla Harrison. Yeah, Kayla really surprised me with the weight cut. She seemed to look really healthy, even though she looked like she cut a lot of weight. I thought, shit, yeah, she's cut weight well. Whatever she's done, even though she's cut a lot of weight, she didn't look too bad. I didn't think of it before, but Holly loves to be in the clinch. She feels comfortable there, but that's not what you want to do against someone like Kayla. So I think maybe a younger Holly would have had more success, but she just played right into Kayla's game plan. And if Holly had kept on the outside and fought closer to how she used to, she would have had more success. But that's the thing, when a fighter has their comforts, or anyone has the comforts that they go to when they're under pressure, that can sometimes backfire. But congratulations to Kayla. She's a bit outgoing and extroverted for me, but it'll be really something if she can get Amanda Nunes to come back. Maybe then I'd be a bit more interested. But props to Holly Holm as well. She's 42, for God's sake. But props to Kayla for making that weight and performing the way she did. Damn. Just shows you can do things if you have the right state of mind. SODIQ, YUSUFF and Diego Lopez. Yeah, I got this fight pretty much right. I think Diego was just way too much for SODIQ, and he gets a stunning finish there. Much to say on that, but I think Diego Lopez is definitely a title contender one day. Jalin Turner and Renato MOICANO. Oh, what happened again? Oh yeah, picked MOICANO to win. Jalin could have had MOICANO out of there in the first round, but he was too comfortable. And I maybe thought that the craziness of MOICANO could have gotten the better of Turner, and it turns out that's what happened. A big win for MOICANO. Little disappointing for Jalin, because if he was more intensely there like MOICANO is, he wouldn't have let MOICANO off the hook. Still, a good fight. Jessica Andrade beats Marina Rodriguez. I thought Rodriguez actually won that fight, although it was very close, and maybe Jessica landed more strikes in actuality. I don't know why I thought Marina won, but once I saw the significant strikes, I'm like, well, yeah, Jessica really did win that fight. So close fight. Bobby Green and Jim Miller. Jim Miller looked really good in the first round, and I think Bobby was a bit too relaxed, but then he woke Bobby up. I think he got Bobby a bit angry once Bobby got a few shots, and then Bobby took over, and then he just kept going from there, and he absolutely beat up Jim Miller, which was a bit sad, but Jim Miller looked good in that fight in the earlier portion. And to start with, yes, Deiveson, Figueiredo and CODY Garbrandt. I picked Deiveson to win as well, maybe by KO or sub, I thought early, and it was the second round that Deiveson gets a sub. It looked like Deiveson did struggle a bit with the range and the striking, and it's probably good that he didn't engage there and he decided to grapple, because I thought he'd probably look a little bit better, but it turns out CODY is maybe faster and better with the footwork and all that. So I was kind of worried for a second there. I thought, oh, maybe Figgy's a little small actually to fight this guy, but Figgy fought smart, and the fact that he could grapple someone who was, in my opinion, a fair bit bigger than him and get the better of him was remarkable. That was a great way to start, and wow. All in all, these fights were just amazing. This 300 ended up being way better than I thought it would be. It seemed a bit too much at first, but yeah, amazing. Yeah, thanks for coming by. Let me know what you think, and thanks for the support. I'll see you around the traps.